Hello everybody, I hope everyone is doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a 3 looks, 1 palette with the new Natasha Denona Bronze palette, which I am so very excited about. I just recently picked this up from Sephora and the tones in here are super calling my name. I just love Natasha Denona palettes, especially her more neutral leaning palettes. I always pick them up. I think her color stories are always so chef's kiss. And I also will be doing a mini review on the Natasha Denona Bronze Cheek Face Glow palette as well. I'm going to be giving you all of my final thoughts and reviews at the end of the video, so keep tuned for that. So before we get into the 3 looks, I would love for you to subscribe if you aren't already. It would mean so much to me, and let's get to it. So here's the first look I'm going to be creating, and I decided I'm going to do my base on the 3rd look just so that I don't have to keep wiping it off and reapplying it throughout each look when I take off the look. So it's just gonna be a lot easier for me and my skin because usually I get super irritated, but I think this is a better way to go about it. So I'm first gonna start off with the shade Ridge, which is a nice kind of mustardy shade, and I'm gonna use that as a transition shade. And this is a Smith 232. Now I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush, and this is a Smith 230, and I'm going to take the shade Suntan. I love that name for this shade, it's perfect. And I'm going to start deepening up the crease a bit. And I'm also going to take a smaller brush, this smudger brush from Royal Nickel, and I'm going to put that just in the inner portion for our halo eye. I'm just going to make this portion very smooth so the transition between the shimmer to the matte is quite seamless. And now I'm going to take the shade Magma with this Royal Nickel eye highlighter brush, and I'm going to place this on the outer portion of the eye, blending it up into the crease. And I wanted this look to kind of have like an almond shape, so not so cat eye, and a little touch rounded. Now I'm going to blend this up into the crease now that my brush doesn't have as much pigmentation on it anymore. And I'm going to take the tiniest amount of the shade Magma with the smaller brush and place that on the inner corner. I don't want to make the inner corner as dark as the outer corner because that tends to close off the eyes a little bit and make your eyes look a little closer together, and that's not what I really want. Now I'm gonna go in with the shade True Bronze, which is such a pretty color. It's a beautiful shimmer, look at that. And I'm gonna place that in the center of the lid. It's so nice and creamy. Now I'm just gonna take that brush once again and kind of go over the edges of the shimmer so it's not so harsh. And then I'm going to build up the pigmentation of the Magma shade in the crease here. So I'm gonna follow where the shimmer ends and just kind of make that a little bit more defined. And once again, I'm going to take the first shade we went in with, and I'm going to take Ridge and kind of reintroduce this to the crease. It just makes it a lot more soft and blended, and it kind of revamps it. I really like the contrast of these 2 shades, kind of like a muted mustard and ketchup look. Now I'm going to take the shade Magma and bring it on the lower portion of the eye. And this is where I'm just gonna finalize the final shape here. So a little rounded, but a little pointed at the same time. And I'm going to skip out on the center of the lower lash line and just bring it in this little area right here. And then wipe off this brush, take a little bit of Ridge and kind of gap that bridge with this shade. I dampened my brush with a little Fix Plus, and I'm going to take the same True Bronze shade. I'm just dampening my brush so I get more precision and that the shimmer shades don't get into my eyes. So I'm just going to take this and place it. This is a Smith 253. I'm stamping it right in the center. And now to deepen it up even more, I'm just going to take that smudger brush and dip into the shade Deep Dive, which is a cream formula, which I love. I'm so happy she included another deep shade in her cream formula. And I'm just going to apply that just on the outer portion of the eye in a little outer V motion. And there we go. Now I'm just gonna go quickly apply some mascara and I'll show you the final look. And for the inner corner highlight, I almost forgot, I'm gonna be taking this shade right here from the new Bronze Cheek palette. I'm gonna take this really pretty Super Glow nude shade with my finger Just boop, 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 boop. It's a nice goldeny shade as well, so it flatters this eye look. And here is the first look all complete. I really love this one. It's very, very bronzy. I love how the mustard complements this shimmer shade and it complements the red tones in the magma shade. I just really love it. Okay, so I'm going to quickly wipe this off and we'll move on to the second eye look. Here's the second look I'm going to be doing. I freaking love how it turned out. A cut crease. Who the hell am I? So I'm first going to start off with the shade Beach as my transition shade. And I brought this quite a bit higher than I usually would. Let me just prime my eye first. How about that? I'll be right back. Eyes are primed. I just used the JULIACFX concealer. And I'm just going to take the shade Beach, like I said, with a Smith 230. And I brought this a little bit higher than I usually would. And I'm using smaller brushes just because this is a little bit more of a dainty effect. I went a little too excited. I need a clean brush because I put too much. But I'm just going to build that up a touch more. I love this look so much, you guys. Oh my god. Now I'm going to take an even smaller brush. This is a Rolling Nickel eye highlighter brush. And I'm going to dip into the shade Suntan. And I'm just going to place it in this general area once again. And this is going to be the base of the look, and then I'm going to carve it up with some concealer and then we'll deepen it up afterwards. Now I'm just going to take some of the JULIACFX concealer on the back of my hand, make a little puddle, and I'm going to take this brush. This is a ColourPop E4 brush, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that concealer and I'm going to do that trick where you place concealer right there. And then you kind of look up a little bit and then it creates the perfect angle that I'm going to be following. It's always so tricky to match the other eye, but you know, challenge accepted. And then I kind of brought this kind of more straight out. And then I'm just gonna clean this area up. This is a dry beauty blender. I'm just gonna try to pick up any excess concealer that I don't need because that will result in some creasing, which I do not want. I had like a vision. I was watching some TikToks and you know how they've been using, I don't know your algorithm, but my algorithm, there's a lot of Hannah Montana transitions, like rating whatevers. And I got the idea, I was like, how hilarious would it be if I recorded some of those Hannah Montana transitions for videos? I think that'd be so funny. Maybe just funny to me. I don't know. Cast your votes in the comments down below. So now that I have a very rough look here, I'm going to take my little funny brush, my Tweezerman line glider. It looks like a little shark tooth. Ooh ha ha. And I'm gonna take Magma, a mix of Suntan and Magma actually. So I can start building this up, and basically I'm gonna take it on the tiniest edge here and kind of redefine this area. And this brush is just a dream for these types of looks. It makes it so precise and you're also able to blend a little bit. It's great. I'm also gonna take this little eye smudger brush from Rolling Nickel to kind of smoothen everything out here and there just so it looks as seamless and diffused as possible. I'm just gonna tap my finger right here because I don't want it to be as pigmented, because here it kind of cuts off a little bit before the eyeliner, which I'm going to get into right now. I'm gonna take just straight Magma and I'm gonna pack it onto this brush. This is a Smith 203, very small angled brush. I almost just destroyed this look. I tapped down a little bit, but thank you, line glider. You saved my life once again. And I'm just going to do a little eyeliner with this shade. And you'll probably get a little bit of fallout when you do this because you're packing on so much pigment to your brush. So I'm going to finish off the lower portion. I'm just gonna take Beach and I'm going to place it in this area right here. And then I'm going to move on to Suntan. And then I'm gonna just take a tinier brush. I'm just gonna use my little line glider, and I'm just gonna place a little touch of magma right in this general area, kind of smoking it out so this is still very angular. And now this is the part where I was a little torn, because I originally wanted to take the bronze cheek palette and use this shade on the eye, but I just decided to keep it to the palette. But just as a little hint, I'll just show you what it would have looked like. A little sneak peek. Because I thought that this looked really pretty. It's not as defined as I want right now, but I'm gonna redefine once I add the actual shimmer. But if it was really defined with that just subtle light shade, I thought it was so pretty. But I really wanted to use this shade Silk. I think Silk is my favorite shade out of this whole palette. It's the one that really catches my eye and makes me really excited. It's just a really pretty, like, muted golden bronze shade. Look at that. It is so dreamy. So I'm going to be using that, and I applied it with the Smith 253. Well, first actually I took my finger and I placed it right in the area where I was confident. Whoop. And then I kind of sheared it out. I didn't go with full opacity yet because I wanted to see what a sheer amount of this would look like. And I'm just using this dry at the moment. The only place where I dampened it is to get a really crisp line across the lashes. And then this brush is nice because you can tilt it on its side and you can do all kinds of things with it, so you can really get that precision. Okay, now I'm just going to dampen it, and I'm just going to get it as close to the liner as possible. I didn't do the shimmer first before the liner. It would have looked weird with the shimmer underneath of the matte shade. So that is why I'm putting the extra effort. Now I'm going to redefine it and make everything look nice and crisp. Tweezerman brush once again. Magma. I'm gonna knock off these little shimmers that are in the way, at the same time as deepening it up. The only thing missing for me in this palette is something to highlight the inner corner and brow bone with. All of the shimmers in here are quite deep for that purpose, but most of the time I do use the highlighter I use on my face, so that's not the biggest deal. It just would have been nice to have in here, I think. I used this shade as the inner corner and brow bone highlight, and I think I layered a little bit of this on top of this one in the inner corner. So I'm just gonna do that quickly as well. So now I'm just gonna go quickly apply some mascara, and I will be right back. And here are the eyes all finished. I love this look so much. I think it looks so fun. This might be a new shape that I do quite often. I really love how this looks, especially with these neutrals. Ooh, so fun. I think this is my favorite so far. We'll see what happens in the third look. But now it's time to wipe this off and move on to the third and final look. Okay, so for the third and final look, I've had this photo saved for forever, it feels like, and I want to do something inspired by it. It's this beautiful photo of Sophie Turner, but this eye look that she's wearing here is unbelievable. I love the shape and just the depth and everything like that. And I saved this for the last look because I'll be using some eyeliner in the waterline, and that's extremely irritating to the eye to take off for another look. I don't remember exactly which artist did this makeup. They're not tagged, which is really rude. I feel like it might be Hung Van Gogh because it's his kind of style, I feel like, and his kind of photo. I'm going to do something more inspired by that with the two cool tones that are in this palette, which are very, very beautiful, these two right here. And yeah, so I'm gonna go for it. I'm a little bit nervous, but you know, whatever, I can do it. I'm gonna be using the shade Deep Dive with the smudger brush from Royal Langnickel, and I'm going to bring that into the crease to begin with, because this, it's like smoked out. So I'm gonna start right here because it gets really depthy here. This color is really cool because it's like a really deep plummy purple. And it's also a cream powder formula, and that's my absolute favorite formulation that she has in her palettes. Especially, I love it when she does the darker tones in this formula because it is the most user-friendly dark shadows ever, in my opinion. They're so easy to blend and work out, and they don't dry down all the way, so you can just endlessly blend them because they turn into powders once they get on here, but it still has such a nice blendability. They're just so good. So I'm gonna increase the opacity once I get down here, once I figure out the eye shape. I need to take a screenshot of this so I don't have to keep squinting. I ordered contacts like over a month ago and I haven't had any contacts forever, and it's making me get wrinkles because I can't wear my glasses when I film, so it's a little bit of a struggle. I need to take a clean brush to kind of take this down because it's a little bit too pigmented in this area because it just gets so diffused in this area right here. And then it's like a nice ombre effect. It's really, really neat. I love how the edges are hard, but they're really soft at the same time, which is gonna be tricky to kind of achieve. And now I'm going to switch over my brushes to something a little bit more compact. This is the BMX line brush from Rolling Nickel. I think it'll be a good angled brush. Just any angled brush, to be honest. And it's a really thick kind of wing-like shape, and it goes all the way into the inner corner, but it gets really thin in the inner portion. I'm gonna stick to building up the opacity right here though. I'm now working with a Smith 202 just to make sure this is really defined and small. I just checked my little arsenal of eye pencils, and sadly I don't have anything kind of close to this, so I am going to just use a black pencil, and this is the Milk Makeup Longwear Gel Eyeliner in the shade Boss. And I'm going to just line my waterline with this, and I'm just going to run this along in here. It won't be that different because I feel like this purpley shade is quite black leaning, so I don't think it's gonna be so wildly different. And she does have her inner corner done as well, which I think I might have to do an eyeliner and then smudge it out with a little bit of the purple because it's not going to stay on me at all. My eye is starting to be like, what is you doing, sis? Okay, I'm just gonna go for it with the pencil. And I'm also going to bring this a little bit lower past my lashes, just on the outer portion, to kind of fade it into that purple. I really love how this is looking. I can't believe it's doing what I want it to. I'm going to work with this E10 brush from ColourPop, and I'm going to go back into the Deep Dive shade and blend these two together. I feel like I need a smaller brush for the inner portion. Just going to be using every brush I own or something today. This is the Dose of Colors brush that comes in their 5 color palettes. Now, for the part where I didn't really think things through, I want to add rhodium to this whole area here, and I don't know how I'm going to go about that. If I should just like dab it on top of this cream shadow too to make it look a little bit more dimensional, because rhodium is a duochrome. So pretty. I'm just going to put it right in the center because I know for sure that I'm going to add it there. I'm going to try with a fluffier brush to begin with. This is still the Dose of Colors brush. I'm just going in with the other side. Oh, this is deeper than I was expecting. Okay, I'm just gonna go feather it on a little bit lighter than I would. Just going in with a sheer amount of it so it doesn't break up all of this that we just worked so hard on. Oh, I'm gonna add a little bit to the bottom as well. It's gonna make it different now. I'm not gonna lighten it up with some of the shades in here. I think I'm gonna lighten it up with this one perhaps. Yeah, the Bounce Cream Glow, this one, the lighter one. I'm just going to restructure this, make it a little bit more prevalent. I think I'm gonna recreate this eye look exactly one time, but I do really enjoy how this is actually turning out now. I'm just gonna add the inner corner highlight with a clean brush, and I'm going to use the same color from right here. Whenever I do like an inner corner detail like this, I take it into this little socket area and I lift it upwards so I don't screw this all up. And I'm also gonna use that as my brow bone. It's kind of fun. It has like a pink highlight to it. Very subtle pink highlight. I'm just gonna go catch this eye up to speed, put on some mascara and maybe some lashes, and I'll be right back so we can try this on the face instead of the eyes now. And here is the third and final look all finished. By the way, the mascara I used for all of these looks was the ABH mascara, just because it's easy to take off. And I did apply some lashes just for some symmetry for this look, and they're the Big City Nights lashes from Esqido. I'm feeling half and half about it. I think artistically it looks really cool if you're up close and to this angle, but if my eyes are opened, it looks kind of like I just don't know how to blend eyeshadow. I don't know, but these colors are really nice. I really like how they make my eyes look super green because they have that plum purpleness to it. But now let's move on to the cheek palette. My lighting is so dreary today because it is the darkest day ever. It's the rainiest day ever too. So I apologize for making it look so spooky in here. But the lip I paired this whole look with is the M Cosmetics Lip Cloud in Rose Nude and the Oak lip liner from MAC. So now let's move on to the cheek palette. So I'm really excited about this. I really enjoy her cheek palettes like this. My #1 favorite is the tan palette, and I don't know if this is going to beat, because the tan palette to me is just perfection, because you also get a bronzer / blush in here and the tones really suit my skin tone very nicely. Whereas this one right here have a few tones that would be more suited towards deeper to medium tan skin tones, like these two right here. The only two that I'd probably be able to pull off is these two right here, and maybe this one if I'm like extremely tanned or something. But this one is fun. It has a few different formulations in here than the other one. These two are Bounce Cream blushes, which is a new formula to her, which is really fun. They're like those mochi type products where if you press in, it makes a little indentation, which is really fun. I also have the Love Glow palette, which honestly wasn't my favorite. I pretty much only would use this shade right here. These other three really don't call for me. I kind of wish I returned it, but at the same time I don't want to make waste or anything, so I might pass this on to a friend or something, or I might keep it around just for this. I don't know. It's just not my favorite, but I do really like these ones that she has, the more everyday appropriate ones. So I'm going to try out a few things, maybe just the one highlighter, I'm not really sure. I used it just on the eyes so far, but from what I can tell, it's gonna be a formulation that I really like. It kind of reminds me of the Kaja Beauty Mochi Glow, but it might not have as chunky particles. Like the Kaja Beauty one, it can have a little bit more visible sparkles, I guess, but this one looks super, super, super micro. I'm using the shade Bounce Cream Blush, which I don't know whose skin tone could use this as a blush, not me. So I'm just gonna use it as a highlight, and I might layer a little bit of this one on the super high points of my face. It's a little bit too warm for my skin tone, so I see how it can be a blush. If you can see right in this area right here, it looks a little bit more orange. That's really surprising. How interesting. It does not look like that in the pan whatsoever, right? Oh, I guess if I tilted it, duh, but that is super surprising. I'm just gonna try to take that down because that does not suit my skin tone. And I'm gonna switch my brush. And I'm gonna try this one right here, the Bounce Cream Glow Blush, which actually will suit this look because I used it on the eyes. So I'm going to try this one out. Oh yeah, there, that's a normal highlight. That is a stunning formula. It just makes me look glossy. That is an incredible formulation. It has a pink duochrome to it, so that's not my favorite. But with this look, it looks really nice. I kind of wish it was more of a golden shift just for a bronze palette. I'm just gonna wipe off my brush a little bit, and now I'm gonna go into the Super Glow Nude shade. Oh, that is actually not too dark for my skin tone. That's a good, wow, that is very, very glowy. It has more of a yellowy gold reflect to it. It's very intense, but I don't mind it. I don't think it beats this highlighter for me in the tan palette. This is like one of my all-time favorite highlighters ever. I use it all the time, and I barely even made a dent in it so far, which is incredible. It is really nice. I'm happy I have it in my collection, but I feel like I prefer the tan palette if I'm being extremely honest. And plus I can use all of those shades personally, and I can't really use this one really, which isn't the biggest deal. I'll make do with this because this is a gorgeous eyeshadow color. It has like a clementine-y kind of vibe to it as well, and I love those tones on the eyes. So I would totally just repurpose it for my eyeballs. Here's the highlighter. I'll zoom you guys in so you can see. It's extremely intense. It's very pretty. I love the formulation. You can't really see the texture of my skin. It looks very flattering. It's a very flattering one. I'm just gonna take it down with my sponge, bring it back down to earth a little bit, make it more of an everyday appropriate. Yeah, that's a little bit better. For me personally, the tan palette wins for me. The bronze cheek palette comes for second. Love Glow comes in fourth because I feel like I would like her first one of these that she came out with. I don't know. So now let's move on to my final thoughts about the bronze palette. So this is the palette overall. It is one of her smaller palettes, which I didn't know when I ordered it. When it came in, I was like, it's so small. Here it is compared to the Biba palette. So it is quite a bit smaller, but that's not a big deal. I kind of bought this palette as an extension to my Biba palette because I thought these would really complement each other very nicely. I bought this pretty much because of the shimmers in here. I adore Natasha Denona's shimmer formulation, all of her formulations to be honest, so when I saw this I almost died. I love the tones in here. I love how rich it is. I find it to be quite unique for me. I know like there's a lot of shades that are similar to a lot of palettes, but I like how they're all in here, and I like the variety of textures and formulations that she adds into her palettes. So to me this is very exciting, and I love that I have it in her formulation now. I'll compare it to the Soft Glam because I know a lot of you would like to see that. There are a lot of similarities, but for me personally, I am more drawn to this one right here because in the Soft Glam palette, I don't really use the more pinky, dusty rose shades, and I really like how she added a lot of range of depth in here, but also making it a little bit more unique instead of just throwing a black in here. I think this plummy deep tone is really unique, and against all of these tones, they're very complementary at the same time. So you don't really have to worry about color theory with this palette at all. It all just makes a lot of sense. And looking at this, I think is really fun because I like how there's more of the yellowy tones for bronzy colors. Here is more orangey and here's more red. So you kind of get all the sunset tones in here, but they're also very flattering, and I like how this palette would suit a multitude of skin tones as well because of that richness and the depth. And I just really like how she has so many different textures. She has her super foil texture, duochrome, metallic, mattes, and cream powders. So to me, this was completely worth it, and I'm extremely excited that I have this in my collection. I did purchase it myself, just in case if you didn't know that. I'm not on Natasha Denona's PR list, so I purchased all of her products myself because I am a very big fan and I love the formulations. There is two downsides to this palette for me if I were to travel with them or whatnot. I kind of miss that there isn't like a highlighting tone to bring more dimension to your looks. Like if I wanted to amp up this eye look even more, I would have put like a little highlight tone right in the center, and I kind of wish there was something I could do that with in this palette, just like a lighter gold or like a lighter, more sheer formulation. I know she had that in her gold palette. The Sparks shades, I think. These two right here from the gold palette, they're just a little bit more of a top coat. So they add a sheerness, but also another layer of dimension. And another thing that I noticed was this rhodium shade, it kind of hard panned. Let me see if I can see that little spot in the middle there. And that just makes it a little bit harder for you to pick up pigment with your finger or a brush. That's a little bit disappointing, but otherwise all of the shades I tried out today were stunning. And I see myself using this palette like crazy. I love bronze toned looks. As you guys know, I do them way too often probably for a lot of you guys. If you are super interested in these tones, I say go for it, but if you're not feeling it, maybe pass. If you don't see yourself truly using this palette, don't pick it up. If you're going to invest in a Natasha Denona palette, it should be one that you see yourself using for a very long time and one that you see yourself consistently using. My number one recommendation would be the Biba palette personally, just because this one, you get all of the range of tones and it's just a little bit more simple. It won't go out of style. Whereas this one, maybe it could, There are a few shades in here that are a little bit different, but it's up to you and your personal tastes and such. And I know I'm going to be using this in a lot of my videos. So I'm super happy I have it. The pigmentation was stunning. The blendability was amazing. I had no issues blending out the mattes, nothing at all. But I think that is all from me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video and found it inspiring and helpful. If you did, please give it a like. It would help me out so very much. I'll make sure to link all of the products I used in the video and also off camera, like my base products and everything will be in the description. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye.